Ding dong YouTube, welcome back to the channel, the Jobless Coder here, and I just wanted to make this quick video to kind of explain why I haven't made a video in quite a while. I guess maybe it's been now 3 weeks since I did my last video, and the reason for that is I got a job. Now you probably say, what? How can you be the jobless coder if you have a job? And to that I have two things that I need to say about it. Number one is that I'm not a masochist, so I'm not trying to be jobless. This isn't something that I prefer. I'm not trying to, I guess, push some agenda to be like, oh yeah, I'm just jobless and working from home or doing freelancing or maybe not doing anything at all. I'm just sitting on my ass playing video games. But that's not the case at all. I'm actually genuinely trying to get a job. I mean, I don't enjoy being broke and having no money. I don't enjoy, like I said, not having the money for the things that I need, even the things that I want. And when it comes to things that you want, you think, oh, well, maybe you want the latest and greatest video games, and like, oh yeah, that stuff is all fine and nice. And I mean, E3 is this week too, so there's all kinds of really cool announcements with games and stuff. But no, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the fact that my vehicle is now being threatened to get towed and impounded if I don't get it reinsured or re-registered. And not only does that cost money, but in order to even do that, it needs to go through like $2,700 in repairs and stuff before it would even be roadworthy to get the insurance and registration. So that's money for things that I want. That's what I'm referring to, and I just don't have that. And if my vehicle does get impounded, then that means that the $1,200 I spent on it 3 years ago is just gone. That investment is just completely gone and lost, because once it's impounded, it's essentially virtually worth nothing, because the cost to get it out of the impound is more than the vehicle would ever be worth trying to resell it. I also have the credit card companies phoning, wondering why I haven't paid. Well, it's kind of hard to pay your credit card bill if you don't have a source of income because you haven't worked at a job. So like I said, I'm not a masochist who's trying to burn my life because I enjoy torturing myself, but when it comes to the name The Jobless Coder, the reason I picked that is because this is the situation that I'm in despite everything I have tried to get a job. And I've gone through all of the traditional means of getting a job. I've used Indeed, and I've looked on Craigslist, and I've used LinkedIn for networking. I've gone to job fairs, I've gone to game jams, all these things where jobs are usually there and there's people that you can meet in the industry. I have friends who are working in the industry and they can't even help me out. So my situation is the fact that I'm the jobless coder because I just can't get a job regardless of whatever I do to try to find that work, that employment. So because none of the traditional means of networking and looking for employment have been working for me, I decided to do something that was a bit more unconventional. That's essentially why I started this YouTube channel and my website and the Instagram page back in April, because it's a pretty unconventional way to go about trying to find people who maybe can offer you a job, but I've already tried everything else, so that's essentially how this whole thing started. Now, I said there was two things. The second thing that I have to cover is that I'm not technically working a job because I'm not employed, I'm not working on salary, I'm not working hourly either. So I do have a job, but I'm not technically working a job. And I'm gonna just explain a bit about how that works. Essentially, it started about, I'd say, a month ago when some woman from the United States, she found my website. I have no idea how she found my website, and at the time, there was only just one blog post on the page. There was a very basic home page. I'll just put a picture up somewhere, either here or there, just to show you kind of what my website page looks like. I haven't put a lot of work into it, and even now, I still haven't done a lot of work on it since April, because I have a lot of ideas for things that I want to do for blog posts, but it just takes time to compile that, to write it, to get the images and get all that stuff, so I haven't put a lot of time into that. But at the time, there was one blog post about Indeed jobs, I think, and there was a basic homepage that literally just says, I'm looking for work, has my email address. I eventually want to kind of change the homepage to be like a virtual type of resume that showcases all of my skills. And there's a very detailed about page that kind of runs through who I am and how I got here and everything that I've experienced over the last couple years, and it's just a simple about page. So this woman found my website and she kind of read the about page, and from that she actually sent me an email. And that was very shocking to me because, like I said, there isn't a whole lot of stuff going on the website, but she sent me an email asking about my experience with apps, because I mentioned building mobile games. I have 4 of them in the App Store, at least on Android. I think Apple pulled them because I haven't paid my licensing fees in like over a year, but they're still on Android. So she starts asking me about my experience building apps, and she kind of tells me this idea for an app that she wants to build, and basically asks, do you think you can build it? And so I think about it, and yeah, I mean, it's the most complicated thing that I have ever done, but I know I can do it. And without going into too much detail on the actual specifics of the app, so none of you think of, I don't know, stealing the idea, don't do that. Essentially, it's just an app that would allow hikers to connect with each other, because this woman is a hiker, but she doesn't know how to find other people with similar interests to go hiking with. So this app is going to involve things like messaging. It's going to involve things like databases, and all of that stuff is combined into the app as well. And so, like I said, it's the most technically advanced thing I've ever done, but I know that I have the experience and the training and the skills to do that. And if I don't, then I know where to find those resources and then just self-teach it to myself. So I told her yes, I would do this, and she went to the bank and talked about getting a loan, and she was able to get a small amount of money for a loan, and I basically planned out the sprints for the agile development of this app to be over the 2 months. So I've been working on it for about 3 weeks, a month now. That's why I haven't been doing a whole lot of other things like for the videos, because I've been focusing on that. And then over the next month until about mid-July, kind of in July time frame, is when I plan to have it finished and developed, and and then release it into the App Store. And so it's a very small window of a contract, which is why I say it's not a job, because when I'm done building the app for her, when her budget from the loan runs out, that's it. No more money for me, no more work for her. I build it once and deploy it, and that's it. She doesn't seem like she wants to turn it into some kind of business where there's like regular features being added. It really does seem like it's just a one-time thing. So the hopeful goal is that in doing this for her, I can take that as experience on my portfolio and use that to find the next thing. But the problem is the next thing needs to come fairly quickly, because in a month I'm going to be once again out of work and out of a source of income. And the money, like I said, it's very small. It's enough to float me by so that I can cover my bills, some of them at least. I can cover my rent, I can buy food, and I'm not starving, but it's essentially gonna be draining as fast as I'm making it. So I'm not getting ahead anywhere. I'm just kind of floating along this straight line. And so the idea is that I can float long enough to find the next thing where, oh yeah, I'm making a decent wage, so that I can actually start saving and maybe getting out of debt. But that can't happen if the money coming in is going out as fast as it comes in. So yes, essentially that's what I've been doing, and that's what I will be doing over the next month now, is continuing to work on this app and finish it for her. And there was something else that I kind of wanted to say, which is that when I started the YouTube page and my email and the website and all of that, when I started that back in April, there was quite a lot of people that essentially told me I was basically shooting myself in the foot by choosing the name The Jobless Coder, because they're like, oh, well, if you're going and you're saying you're the jobless coder, then nobody's going to hire you, because they're going to assume that you don't have skills. They're going to assume that, I don't know what they would assume, but for whatever reason, the name The Jobless Coder is somehow bad, because people are like, oh, well, nobody's going to hire you because you clearly have no skills because you're jobless. And yet here I have the proof that some woman hired me for this small contract gig to do for her, and that was from my website, The Jobless Coder. And please note, I'm not saying that because I have, I guess, something to prove. I'm not saying that so that I can go back to all of those people and be like, oh, haha, I was right and you were totally wrong. That's not my intended goal in mentioning the fact that I got a job with that name, because at some point you eventually realize that the amount of mental capacity that people have in their head per day for you and your problems is this much mental capacity that they even give you. So if I go back to these haters and people, the naysayers that are telling me that I'm doing everything wrong, and I'm like, oh look, I was able to get this job and everything's going great now, the thing that they're gonna say, you know what they're gonna say? They're gonna say, congratulations, man, good for you, I'm happy to hear. And it's like, how are you going to argue with that? I mean, there's nothing inherently bad about that. There's nothing, no ill intent in that. It's literally just, hey man, congratulations, I'm happy for you. But a month ago, they were like, oh no, you're doing this and this and this, and everything you're doing is wrong. But then you go back and you're like, oh, I figured it out, and that was following the opposite of what you told me to do. They're just going to say, congratulations. And for some people, things just work out in a different manner. Somebody could tell you that the only way to get a job is by following the XYZ steps that they did, which is going to job fairs, applying on Indeed, having a really good LinkedIn page. But for other people, like myself, that just doesn't work. And so we need to be creative and find alternative means of looking for work and finding other sources of income. And if that comes in untraditional manners, or that comes as a result of using untraditional names. I mean, somebody said something like, oh, you should just make it the amazing coder, because then it basically says that you're an amazing coder instead of the jobless coder. And I didn't even check. That name's probably taken for a YouTube name anyways. But that's not me. That's not my identity. I can code, and I could be the amazing coder, but that's not the message that I'm trying to prove. And I'm not really trying to prove anything. I'm not trying to prove to people that, oh yeah, this is the only way to do it. I'm trying to say that this is the way that works for me, because all of the other traditional ways that may work for you don't work for me. So that's all I'm trying to do is by showcasing the fact that some things just don't work out like people tell you they will. And none of that is coming from any place of ill intent on my end. I don't think any of the people, I mean, they're trying to give helpful opinions. And sometimes opinions are just not helpful. But that doesn't mean that they come from a place of malintent, where they want you to not succeed, or they want you to fail. But the thing is, this is the really bizarre thing. So if you fail, this is the other thing about it though. Because I'm using non-traditional methods like this YouTube channel and the website and this unconventional name that I'm using, if I fail, it becomes very, very difficult to argue against them, because the moment I fail, it now becomes my fault. Because, oh, the reason you can't get a job is because of your name, because you're going about things the wrong way. And I just think, really? You don't think that genuine bad luck has anything to do with it. You don't think that being manipulated has anything to do with it. No, it's just simply you can't get a job because this name that you picked. And that to me is a very baseline straw man argument, because it doesn't do anything other than insult the methods that I'm using and just saying, oh, well, you're broke and you're going to be homeless and you're not able to get a job because you're doing things the wrong way. But like I said, there's genuine reasons behind it, which could be bad luck or manipulation, or, I mean, like, all these things happen in business. I mean, business partners screw each other over all the time. Companies go bankrupt and can't even pay their employees. That stuff happens regardless of the methods that people use to go about finding employment. And in fact, it actually reminds me a lot about the same arguments people use for going to university. Now, I did 3 years of university before dropping out. I'm not just some bum on the street who doesn't know how to code. I know how to code even before I went to university, but when I went to university and did 3 years, my skills improved. I didn't get a degree or a diploma though, because I didn't do that final 4th year and graduate. So the problem with dropping out of school, this is the biggest problem with dropping out of school, is that now that you're a college dropout, the expectation is Bill Gates or bust. Steve Jobs or bust. If you're not Bill Gates or Steve Jobs level, if you're not Mark Zuckerberg level successful, then you have failed because, oh, you don't have a degree. No, that's not the reason that you failed. There are plenty other reasons why you can fail, but it puts this tremendous amount of pressure on you to get that Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, or Steve Jobs level success because you dropped out. Because otherwise, the only argument people are going to put against you is you're just a college dropout who doesn't know anything. And that's really hard to argue against when you are a college dropout, but that doesn't mean that you don't know anything. And what's even more bizarre to me about that, like I said, if you do things in an unconventional manner and you succeed like I am now, building this app for this woman, the response you get is, congratulations, I'm happy for you. But if you succeed to the extent of Bill Gates and Steve Jobs and Mark Zuckerberg, and you're making millions and billions of dollars, now the response becomes, oh, he's just some asshole billionaire who cheated the system and screwed everyone over to get where they are. And sometimes that's the case. Steve Jobs was ruthless. Mark Zuckerberg is ruthless. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they got where they are because of that. And it's bizarre that if you succeed, people are happy for you. If you succeed very, very much, people think you're some kind of rich asshole. But either way, that's just my opinion on it, and you can take your own opinion at your own whim. And that's about all I have to say for the rest of this video at the moment. I'm still waiting on that package from the UK to come, the one with all of the workout gear and clothing and stuff in it. But it is from the United Kingdom to Canada, and it's been over a month now. So yeah, these things take time. But when it does eventually come, then I'll probably be doing an unboxing video of that, like I said I would as well. And I'll probably be holding off on doing videos for the next little bit here, at least until about mid-July, kind of end of July time frame, when I'm more closer to finishing this app. So that way I can kind of trail that off and then do some more videos to maybe find the next thing. And other than that, that's the end of the video. Thank you for watching. Bye.